On April 1st, 2026, a cruise ship departs from the city of Ushuaia, Argentina. It was carrying passengers and crew, with about 150 passengers from 23 countries. This ship was going on a journey to the remote islands of Antarctica and the South Atlantic. Everything was fine in the beginning. People met up, shared their time, and enjoyed parties. No one knew that this trip was going to turn into a nightmare. After about 5 days of the trip, a 70-year-old Dutch passenger suddenly developed a headache and a fever. He had mild diarrhea too. He went to see the ship's doctor, but after a day or two, he started to have a hard time breathing. Suddenly, his condition worsened so much that on April 11th, he died on board the ship. It is my sad duty to inform you that one of our passengers passed away last night. What was the reason behind this death? No one knew. The passengers didn't pay much attention to this at first. People were busy socializing and enjoying themselves. On April 24th, this ship docked at St. Helena, an island near Africa. The dead passenger's wife got off with his body. This woman then went to South Africa. On April 25th, she was about to board a flight from South Africa to Amsterdam when she suddenly got so sick that she was taken off the flight. She collapsed at the airport. On April 26th, she died. Meanwhile, the people on board the ship also started getting sick. On April 28th, a German woman fell ill, and on May 2nd, she died after 4 days. Once again, no one knew why the passengers of the ship were dying one by one. On May 2nd, the World Health Organization was informed about the crisis. Tests were conducted, and then the diagnosis was released. Hantavirus, the deadly hantavirus, the hantavirus. While the world feels like it is falling apart, it's a virus that has no vaccine, no cure, and its death rate is so high that it can kill half of the infected people. Today, this virus has spread on a ship that has been stuck at sea for many days. News headlines are being made all over the world. No one wants this ship to dock in their country. Health officials around the world are racing to contain a deadly outbreak of hantavirus. Hey everyone! The most terrifying thing is that the hantavirus is not a new virus. Scientists have known about it for about 70 years. That is when it first came to light. It was during a war where thousands of soldiers got sick, but still, no cure for it has been found. The hantavirus is not a single virus. It is a family of viruses. It is found in mice and spreads from there. Different types of rats carry different types of hantaviruses. Humans can contract 2 types of diseases from these viruses. The first is hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome, or HFRS. This is common in Asia and Europe. It causes kidney failure and internal bleeding in the body. The second disease is hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, or HPS. It spreads in North and South America. It fills the lungs with fluid, and people have difficulty breathing. Eventually, people die of suffocation. The mortality rate is said to be 50%. And the most disturbing thing is that, despite being a deadly virus, no FDA or WHO-approved vaccine has been made. Forget the vaccine. There is no proven treatment. If you get infected, doctors can only provide you with supportive care. You may get a bit of relief from it, but fighting this virus will depend entirely on your immune system. This virus was first discovered in modern history during the Korean War in the 1950s. American soldiers were fighting in South Korea during the war. Suddenly, more than 3,000 soldiers were affected by a strange disease. First, they had a high fever, headache, and vomiting, and then their kidneys stopped working. Of these, about 15% of the soldiers died. Doctors named it Korean hemorrhagic fever. They couldn't figure out if it was a natural disease or a chemical weapon. It took about 30 years to solve this mystery. Around 1980, a South Korean virologist, Dr. Ho Wang Lee, identified that the disease was caused by a virus found in rats, and they named the virus after the river that flows in South and North Korea, the Hantan River. But the most dramatic story of the hantavirus occurred in 1993. In May 1993, members of an American Indian tribe, 10 people from the Navajo Nation, died within a few weeks. A mysterious epidemic in the southwestern United States has U.S. medical investigators baffled. The disease has already killed 10 people. It strikes suddenly and can kill in a day. Surprisingly, all of them were young and healthy, but suddenly fell ill. All of their symptoms were the same. First, a flu-like fever, then a sudden flow of fluid into the lungs, and then death. Initially, the mortality rate was 75%. That is, 3 out of every 4 infected people died. Even after many attempts, scientists were unable to crack the disease. And then, tribal elders told scientists that they knew about the disease. The oral history of the Navajo people recorded that when it rains heavily, pinyon pine nuts are produced. These are food for the rats, which increases their population. And due to this overpopulation, the disease spreads among the rats. This information proved very important for the scientists. When they examined the rats on June 16th, the same virus was found. They guessed that it was a new type of Hantavirus. And in 1993, the outbreak of this virus was fueled by El Niño, the same El Niño that I talked about in the heatwave video. In 1991-92, a major El Niño occurred. It caused a lot of rain. More nut crops were produced, and the rat population exploded. The more rats there are, the higher the chance of the virus breaking out, and the higher the chance for the virus to spread among people. For a long time, scientists believed that there was no hantavirus disease in India. But between 2005 and 2008, a multi-institutional study found 28 confirmed cases in the Vellore district of Tamil Nadu. These cases were found in patients with chronic kidney disease, laborers working in warehouses, and members of the Arula tribe who work to catch rats. Researchers found that out of 661 people who were tested for hantavirus-specific antibodies, about 4% of the general population had these antibodies. This was proof that some people in India had already been infected, and the rate was even higher among those who lived or worked near rats. But the interesting thing was that at this point in time, scientists believed that the hantavirus spreads from rats to humans and cannot spread from one person to another. But in 1996, an outbreak in southern Argentina broke this assumption. The cause of this outbreak was the Andes virus, a strain of the hantavirus family. It had a very dangerous ability. It could spread from one person to another. Today, in the entire hantavirus family, this is the only strain in which confirmed human-to-human transmission has been documented. But the good news is that it doesn't spread through the air like COVID or the flu. For this, very close and prolonged physical contact is necessary. This means staying close to another person for a long time, sharing the same bed, or coming into contact with their bodily fluids. That's why it usually spreads among family members, or when a person is closely taking care of an infected patient. There's another twist here. Scientists have documented in Argentina that some infected people behave like super spreaders. Some infected individuals can infect many more people. But the good thing here is that the transmission window of this virus is very small. It spreads at the beginning of the disease for only 1 day. So by now, you must have understood that the cruise ship I talked about earlier also had the same Andes strain. This is the strain where human transmission is possible. But the question is, where did the virus come from? According to the information we have received so far, in March 2026, a Dutch couple went on a bird-watching tour in Ushuaia. During the tour, they reached a landfill where many rats lived. If they had stayed off the ship for a few days, the virus might not have spread, because the transmission window on the ship was only 1 day. But after this tour, they boarded the ship, and the infection spread to other people. By the way, this was the Dutch couple who died from the hantavirus first. By May 10th, 10 cases were reported on this ship, and 3 people had already died. Apart from this, many passengers had to be medically evacuated, and 4 patients are still hospitalized. 1 in the ICU in Johannesburg, South Africa, 2 in different hospitals in the Netherlands, and 1 in Switzerland. For several days, the ship was idling near the Cape Verde coast of West Africa, but the country refused to give it permission to dock. Then, Spain gave it permission to dock on the autonomous Canary Islands. On May 10th, the ship finally docked on Tenerife Island. The ship was evacuated, and it was yet to be seen how many passengers tested positive. 2 Indians were also on board the ship. They went to the Netherlands with the ship. They were in quarantine there, even though they showed no symptoms. But the biggest question that you must be thinking about, and that I'm thinking about, is whether the hantavirus is going to become the next pandemic. Now, I'm not an astrologer. Anything can happen, but there's a very low chance of it. And there are 2 reasons for this. The first reason is that its transmission window is very small. It's only about 1 day. So unlike COVID, there's no need to quarantine for 14 days. If there's an infected person and they don't transmit the virus within 2 days, the chances of it spreading further are very low. Secondly, it doesn't spread through the air like COVID or the flu, so the chances of it spreading are even lower. It spreads only through close human contact. No human case has been seen in Europe and Asia yet. The World Health Organization has also said that the overall risk of the virus for the global population is low. But this incident is a big wake-up call, because its mortality rate can reach up to 50%. So for those who get infected, it is extremely fatal. It is also connected to El Niño, and we are likely to see a very major El Niño this year. So the question is, how can you protect yourself from this virus? First of all, you need to seal your house so that rats don't enter. This virus spreads through rats. It would be better if you don't leave any space or gap in the house through which rats can enter. If you are going to a place where there are a lot of rats, such as a storage room, a warehouse, or old closed rooms, then wear an N95 mask and gloves. If you see rat droppings anywhere, then you need to be even more careful. But the most basic point here is hygiene. Don't leave your food open. Dispose of waste properly, and remove all the things that attract rats. The hantavirus is a silent threat. It's in the news headlines only when many people die. But the truth is, this virus has been infecting people all over the world silently for decades. The only difference is you didn't know about it before, but now you know. Without vaccines or a cure, you have the best tool: awareness and prevention.